Alright guys and gals, welcome to Game 12, Round 1 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournament. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And we are presenting Rush FTK on the custom CO Mira versus Boot2099a, which we will simply refer to as Boot, playing as Will on the bottom side. So, you've probably seen him once already in our tournaments, but Mira, I'm certain some players might not be familiar with this character.
Yep, so Mira is a CO custom to this game. Her main thing is the global, her main thing is all about her superpower, which is a global 1 damage to all enemy units. Basically, she starts with a zone of 5, which is massive. She uniquely has a boarding cost of 10% instead of 50 for almost every other CO. What else? She also does not have a day-to-day power. It's just that her zone dictates how much charge she will get just by the range. And what else? Her CO superpower is set at a cost of 40, which is different from most others, as most others have a cost of 60. And then also, finally, her zone increases in size at 30, 60, and 120. She uniquely has a higher energy cap than I think almost everyone else, because most people only have a cap of 60, and most people, their zones increase at 30 and 60. So, pretty different playing Mira, but yeah, everything is just about her global damage.
As I've heard someone describe to me, the way they tried to design Mira was to be like as similar to a CO from the Advance Wars trilogy, as close as possible. All right, so like how every unit that gets damaged or attacked gives charge. Yeah, that's what Mira is kind of designed to be. So, Will, I've seen him several times on this map. Sorry to sound like a broken record. Plus 10% offense and defense for all units, and ground units get a special additional 20% offense. So they will ground direct units. So they will get 30% offense and 10% defense. All other units will just get the simple 10 to 10. Will's power is something to behold, plus 2 movement for all of his units, and the CO zone becomes global. So all the direct ground units are going to get the plus 30% firepower. So we see here we have 2 transport copters from Boot here, and Rush goes for a Mira tank, which I personally don't agree with, but it is a very cheap boarding cost, and Rush is Rush, so definitely we'll see what they can do. And Boot has a medium tank Will and built a very early anti-air, which is the same time that Rush built their battlecopter, so a good call, good read by Boot here.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Having a medium tank out this early is quite an investment. You don't see this super often. They are slower, of course. They're stronger, so they will be able to beat out a tank in a 1v1. I think they'll be able to beat out 2 tanks, unless perhaps one of the tanks is able to get a first strike on the medium tank. I'm not entirely sure. I think that might be true.
Yeah, medium.
But also, this is a CO tank. So.
Medium tanks aren't as tanky in Tiny Wars compared to the Advance Wars trilogy.
That's also something to keep in mind. Yes.
Yeah, so they're not gonna easily ward off like a multitude of tanks. A multitude of tanks can definitely do something about a medium tank, but remember, this medium tank is at the veteran rank because it is the COs in it, as well as the plus 10% defense that all CO units get.
Except for Mira, apparently.
Except for Mira, apparently. Which we are still hoping to find someone who is willing to create a portrait for Mira.
Yes. So right now we are seeing Rush basically actually just zone out Boot on both fronts actually. I think because Boot has less units, he's not able to maintain
Missile.
as strong of really, I mean, like, maintain a perimeter, and is basically actually giving up a lot of properties. I think Rush has maybe a 2 or almost 3 income property advantage.
Let's take a look at what Boot invested in compared to Rush. Well, first off, I did see a few base skips, which it's working somehow, because as you could see, they have no transport copters, they have no mechs, they have no rigs, and they have no medium tanks, and no missiles, which I just remembered that was built. So I would say that Rush right now has a slightly better army dynamic. It's hard to explain because they have more tanks. Well, they did have more tanks. They have cheaper units, and because of those cheaper units compared to the higher units, more expensive units that Boot has gone for, they can do a lot less. Like, say your opponent has 2 tanks and you also have 2 tanks. You can use each of those tanks to first strike those other tanks, and that would put you in a good position, and both of those tanks will have to repair or whatever. Now, say you have 1 medium tank against 2 tanks. 1 medium tank can do a lot of damage to one of those tanks, but that other tank can go unscathed and can probably go do its job somewhere else. So I think this is what we're kind of seeing here, with Boots not having the right units to go up against the multitude of Rush's units.
Yeah, Boot is also just generally using a lot more niche units. T-copters are a little bit more. They can be pretty viable if you use them right. APs or rigs you don't see often, and with 2 T-copters already out, you definitely don't need another transport unit.
That's like
especially when they're not transporting something every turn.
That's 15,000 that was used up.
Yeah, and again, these are niche units, right? And then the missile, those don't come out very often either, and so, like, yeah, that's 27,000 in unit value that
could go into something else.
Yes.
Yeah, that could go into something else. This is why it looks like Boot is being pushed back a little bit. He doesn't have the appropriate units to stand a chance against Russia's army. Like a missile. What's a missile gonna do against tanks? But yet again, there's 2 battlecopters there, so I could kind of understand that. But there's just not enough combat units or efficient units that that Boot is building. Like you said, they're all very niche. Another transport copter from Boot.
Yeah. So, like one of the reasons why these are not frequently need units is because they don't have a lot of usages. Tanks are extremely flexible.
Versatile.
They're extremely mobile, and versatile. And so that's why you see them so often. Your core units are gonna be tanks, anti-airs, artilleries, B-copters, bikes, infantries, mechs. You don't tend to see a lot of these other units that you are seeing currently from Boot. You don't tend to build rigs, missiles, even recons are pretty niche, anti-tanks are pretty niche, dusters are still niche, so...
I would say a lot less niche than the other units, but that's what it feels like I'm seeing.
Yeah, just a lot of odd choices, I guess.
Yeah, it's not very... units that aren't so flexible, which is why, sounding like a broken record again, Boot's army composition is not flexible enough. and this is why they are being pushed back so easily. So, I am honestly, it is a little nice to see a missile actually doing what it's supposed to do. This missile is actually given the did I just jinx?
Were you saying something?
I was saying that missiles are actually doing its job, but right now it's kind of like following the same philosophy as what you would do with an artillery. Just give them so many units to target that if they stay to kill one of them, then the other units can come in for the kill. So
and
that is usually the counter for indirect units.
Yeah, one of the reasons why missiles are so niche is because anti-airs do the same thing, and are way, way cheaper, and honestly, in a lot of cases, just straight up are better.
Oh my god, the anti-tank attacked the battlecopter, I love it.
Yeah, if you haven't played this game a lot, you might not realize that the anti-tank also apparently is anti-air.
Advanced Wars logic!
Anti-copter. Yeah, this is weird, but that is a thing. The more you know, that is the thing that happens. Rush actually had CO power available, but did not use it.
I mentioned this in an earlier video. Sometimes using your ability instantly isn't the best decision. Like if you have a turn to set up where you can benefit more from using the power, then I can understand that. But that's I feel like that's a higher level decision that I admit I don't feel like I'm qualified for. But one thing that I did think was an idea. Oh wow, that duster did no damage. One thing that I thought was an idea is you get Mira to maximum energy, which is like 120, which is enough for 3 Mira powers. And if you set up a turn and set up your units to be able to benefit from a Mira spamming Mira's power consecutively over 3 turns, doing 3 damage over 3 turns, which, like I said, with a power that does global damage, I feel like it's a lot more stronger if you have the perfect follow-up turn for it. Some COs you can maybe just pop the power and then not have to worry about it, but yeah, like I said, it's a lot better if you're actively following up with your power. Like Drake versus Andy in the Advance Wars trilogy, I mean, yeah, you could imagine Andy can repair the global damage from Drake or Olaf, but if you, like, say, kill those units, then Andy can't use that power. So, because they're dead. So, yeah, it's just a synchronization with powers and units.
Yeah, I mean, Rush still could have used his CO power here. And interestingly with Mira is that because her power is much cheaper, or is cheaper than most other COs, and also that she has a higher cap than everyone else, and she has a huge zone, right? You can actually charge her power within a turn.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You can use her power at the end of your turn, and if she's placed in an area with a lot of units, then the next turn you can deal a lot of damage within your zone and pop another power.
So if it's set up correctly, Mira can possibly keep spamming the power over and over and over again. Maybe for more than 3 turns, but oh wow, that's why did I never think of that? But here we do finally see the power.
Yeah, I think that's what she's actually like built for.
Yeah, a very slow CO. Yeah,
like she can just keep using it each turn if you have the right placements, if you have like the army in place, if your opponent allows you to get all that energy, which isn't easy to prevent considering the zone is at default 5 and is possibly gonna be at like 6 or 7, right? Like it's not easy to prevent that. So like Mira can
Bomber.
It wouldn't be unexpected to keep having that roll in each turn.
I still prefer if Mira was in a recon, but the tank philosophy I can understand because the tank is going to be seeing combat, and if that tank is seeing combat, then very likely your other units are going to be seeing combat. And here, it's starting to piece together what we were just discussing. Just consecutive damage every turn. I don't know how much power Mira has now, Rush has now, because she's not getting the power during her turn. But that's just like another turn being hit with global damage.
Well, technically, Mira can be getting energy in her turn because you don't have to use the CO power right away.
Yeah.
The thing with Mira that's different from everyone else is everyone else their CO power basically applies their day-to-day power globally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a huge boost to all your units. But Mira never had a day-to-day to begin with, so her CO power is only to deal damage. So if you can charge up her power in the beginning of your turn, and then use the power at the end of your turn, and have that happen perpetually.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing to discuss. Is like, do you want to use it at the end? Oh wow, base lock from Rush here. If you want to use it at the end, then you won't be attacking 9 HP units, which is definitely a little bit better because terrain stars is actually calculated by how much HP that unit has. Oh, a double base lock from Rush here. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to plan out if you're going to be doing... oh, those are 2 bombers. Okay. If you're going to be doing the power at the start of your turn, where you get the damage but you don't get the charge, or you can use it at the end of your turn where you get the energy and your opponent's at 9 HP, but you won't be able to follow up with that 9 HP. So as for the state of this game, just like
it's not close.
Are we gonna see a route for the first time? Another power.
I think we actually are gonna see a route here, because Rush definitely can do that.
For the first time in the Tiny Wars Open tournament, the game has ended via a route.
Yeah, most people tend to surrender like halfway to that when there's a clear disadvantage, but you could keep playing. That's fine. Perfectly acceptable.
Honestly, props to Boot for never surrendering. Never give up. That's a real statement that a lot of people should definitely follow. So
wait, but why follow it if it didn't result in a win?
I mean, they wasted Rush's time, I guess.
Actually, I mean, this was actually one of the first games that finished, and it was it was like, I think they just live played this.
Oh yeah, honestly. They did live play this one.
So this actually did not waste too much time.
Okay, yeah. So, game analysis. Boot's army composition was way too niche. Because of the lack of flexibility and versatility, they couldn't stand up to the diversity of Rush's army, which is why you saw them kind of being held back, even though they had teched up units.
Yeah, honestly, I can probably explain the niche units on this turn or something, because you have this missile. Well, I guess it did. I think the previous.
Yeah. This is what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it was zoning out some stuff. But it can be. I think this is a term from chess. It can be overloaded. Overloading is when you have too many targets. And so, you get value off of one, but not the others, right? So, he does have the ability to get a kill on a B-copter. That's 9k of value, but the missile costed 12k, so you need to kill at least 2 B-copters in order for it to be worthwhile. Missiles are generally going to be better in Fog of War, or in cases where, you have a really hard wall, and so you need it there to keep air units away. But
if there's anything I could give missiles props to, is that they deal a lot more damage to air units. So in a situation where bombers are in play, or like fighters, I can see missiles doing that job. But not often do you see bombers.
Also, if there's a lot of like mountains or heavy terrain, so that the anti-air would not usually be able to access it, then that's also when missiles are good. But that's still pretty rare, very map dependent, very situational.
Very
that's
niche.
why they're niche, right? Anti-airs are just actually really, really good in this game. They're a little bit cheaper at 7k instead of 8k. They're a little bit cheaper than in the Advanced Wars trilogy. They also often can one-shot infantry, which can be good for wall breaking. I think they can generally one-shot. I think it's a luck roll for one-shotting like infantry, bikes, mechs. I think it's a luck roll. If it's on like no defense, then I think they sure kill.
We talk about anti-airs.
Yes, anti-airs.
I think 120%. Just calculate. Oh, I was gonna say I think 120% offense if they're on planes, or if that's just Advanced Wars trilogy math I'm talking about.
No, I think you're talking about Advanced Wars trilogy.
Okay.
But basically, they generally get sure kills on roads, and if it's on planes, then it's a luck roll. If there's a CO zone, then they will get a full kill. Pretty much all the time. So like anti-airs are really strong already. Very fast. They have 6 movement on treads, which is really good. So yeah, there's not a lot of reason to use missiles because missiles are generally overkill and less mobile.
Less cost efficient against one single battlecopter.
Yes. Yeah, less cost efficient. So all those different things make missiles very niche. We go on to the rig. The rig didn't really do anything this game because, I mean, it's very rare for a rig to do much at all. Like, it's very rare for you to run out of ammo or fuel. Sometimes air units might run out of fuel, but like, yeah, that doesn't happen very often. So a rig is just super situational. The transport factor that a rig gives is like generally better from a T-copter. So a T-copter is a little bit better than a rig, and like a T-copter can be used in the way that Boot was using it in transporting mechs, but you generally don't want to have so many of them because again, it's 5k for that T-copter, which is like already a lot of the way towards a tank, which you could be having instead. Or an artillery. Artillery are really strong too. So yeah, the recon is also pretty niche because they're pretty limited when there's no roads. This does have a lot of roads, but when you have a recon that's out late, then it's significantly weaker than if a recon is like the first vehicle you built.
Recons are fantastic for harassing infantry, mechs, and bikes, so long as they're outside of the mech range. But yeah, it's like it's very, very niche. You'd probably expect like other vehicles to protect said foot soldiers, making the recon like a lot less effective, unless sacrificing itself to interrupt the cap is worth it. But it's some scenarios that can happen. Also, I want to point out this turn. This turn kind of showcases the lack of flexibility that Boot has. So yeah, you know, a few of the. I'm just gonna do this. See when they move in towards the bottom side. Oh yeah, so yeah, here you see, you know, battlecopter. Actually, they're inside of the range of the missile, but I think like others were in the range as well. Oh yeah, like this battlecopter, and then this battlecopter. So yeah, as you could see, stop moving it, CJ. So as you can see, like one medium tank, compared to all the other versatile units that Rush was building, they were able to theoretically dish out more damage, and they were able to control where they would want to spread the damage. Like, but in this situation, like they attacked all one target, which is something a tacked up unit could do if you have like one tacked up unit. But you know, it's just like being able to like overwhelm like smaller numbers. Like once you take out one tacked up unit, it hurts a lot more than say if you lose like one lower unit, like a tank. Like you have 3 tanks in one area, losing one of them kind of hurts, but you could still use the other 2. If you have one medium tank in an area, losing that, you have no other threats.
Yeah. And another unit's niche is displayed in the anti-tank in like the next turn, or next couple turns, I think. Like right here. Anti-tanks are really strong against other vehicles, but they are weak to infantry, to bikes and stuff.
Yeah,
which is kind of annoying.
That's usually the That's usually the counter to an anti-tank. It's just like
because anti-tanks are very expensive.
Other foot soldiers. I want to pull up the chart I want to pull up the chart actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, they do good damage against those things, but like because those cheap units can deal so much. Usually bikes are the way to go against anti-tanks.
I want to see this way now. An infantry deals 30.
Does 30 damage. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you know when you think about the value that you're getting, it's kind of huge.
Yes.
And then finally, the last, I guess, niche unit is the Duster, which, you know, being an air unit, they are they are kind of annoying to deal with because you can't just use like infantry, you can't use the tanks or whatever, but they only really do good damage against other air units.
I kind of don't like that they don't one-shot battlecopters, so yeah, you would want to use an anti-air, but I kind of see them as like cheaper fighters.
Yeah, they're also good, you know, at zoning out B-copters, but other than that, they don't do a lot else. I mean, yeah, they can deal some damage to infantry. They deal literally infantry damage, and to infantry and to, you know, bikes, mechs. But and you know, they don't get attacked back, so that's nice. But everything else, they do basically nothing to all these vehicles. To recons, flares, well, don't touch them with anti-air, or don't touch anti-air with Dusters. Tanks, like they do nothing to those things. So, yeah, they're only really good for anti-air. And I mean, Rush did have like B-copters, so a Duster kind of, you know, is justifiable, but still.
They don't one-shot them like anti-air, and they're 13,000.
Yeah,
nearly
like
double
they
an
move
anti-air.
fast. They move fast and they can cover a lot of space, but you know, anti-air. For that cost, you could just get 2 anti-airs basically. So.
Like I said, I would maybe like treat them as like mini fighters, and like maybe like like against bombers. Like we saw in one game where there was a bomber that was built from the opponent. They responded with 3 anti-airs, which is actually more expensive than a Duster. So in that situation, I could maybe see a Duster being built.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could also just do Duster anti-air.
Oh yeah,
like
or that. Yeah, definitely. All right. Any other final thoughts about this game, CJ?
No, I think that's basically it. Rush pretty handily defeated Boot here, but I mean,
Boots
in round 1 with the way that this tournament is seeded, like that is kind of how we expect things to go. But a lot of the later games, a lot of later rounds we'll see are gonna be a lot different. So hope you guys can look forward to that.
Yeah, a little bit what CJ said. Rush should handily win this game, but keep in mind that Boots was limited based on the units that they bought. So there was not much they could do in response, which is what I think is the main theme of this game.
Yeah, but hopefully you were able to learn a bunch about the unit composition in this game.
Oh.
I mean, we do have a couple more new units compared to the other to the trilogy. You know, we have the anti-tank duster, so maybe you didn't know how to use those units before, and now you hopefully kind of do. And also why you don't see those very often.
Yeah. As much as I feel underqualified to be talking strategy in Tiny Wars, especially in standard play, we definitely have the experience to acknowledge some of the strengths and weaknesses of some units. But that is game 12 of round 1 for the Tiny Wars Open Tournament. Thank you all so much for watching. I am hoping that you guys are all looking forward to the other games that we have. We're getting very far in the round 1 games, and hopefully you'll finally see a different map other than this one. But we're trying to showcase all the games and hopefully pull something off for other players to learn. So again, thank you all so much for watching. I am Advanced Warrior.
I'm CJ.
And you all have our warmest regards. Please take care.
Thanks for watching.
Ciao, ciao.